Original power. BD0714 from December 17, 1938, taken from book number 15. All currents emanate from the original power into the universe. Every radiation, no matter how small, has a vitalizing and awakening effect, and if the expression of power of all things and creations is the original state and therefore nothing can be imagined which was not produced by the original power, then every work of creation must also be God's power in itself, and this to the extent that its nature in the overall creation expresses the omnipotence and wisdom of God. The more appropriate the intended purpose of this work of creation, the more comprehensibly this power will become apparent to man, and so man, as the creature of God, to whom the noblest purpose is intended, must naturally also be inherent in divine power, for he is a bundle of rays awakened and animated by the elemental power, which divine will and love has created and sent out into the universe, which condensed itself into form and is always and eternally a particle of this elemental power. The diversity of the created beings will always allow the assumption that the abundance of strength is also distributed differently and is also expressed differently. And this assumption is correct, for every being is always able to let its strength work to the extent that it corresponds to the activity intended for the being. Every being is active in itself. It is a completely isolated creature in the universe which has a certain task to fulfill, and it fulfills this task by means of the power working in it, which in turn is nothing other than the direct emanation of the divine elemental power. Anyone who takes a closer look at the miracles of creation will recognize the Spirit of God, the eternally unchanging and eternally never-ending power everywhere. Everything that lives is permeated by this power, and everything that is dead lacks it, which is even more understandable that all life is power in itself and the lack of the same power means death for a thing. And as soon as this power becomes active, all life. The power is divine and is therefore imperishable and eternally the same. Whether it also animates a being through millennia, it will always have its starting point in God, the eternal elemental power, and will also demand to return there, because the energy generator receives the radiations back into the universe undiminished and the cycle is always and eternally the same. And so every created being is sent out into the universe with a well-thought-out intention. It should become aware of its power, which is from God and therefore lets the being be recognized as the same product. As the same power in the tiniest part, as there is the divine power as the original power of all being. Amen.